I am really, really tired of trash endings. Whether it be in movies, games, television shows, comic books, I don't care what it is. When you create a story, please, please, please think about how you're wanting it to end, at least in an outline form. Think about where you want to take these characters. This is a bit of an unscripted rant that I have today because it's something that has been really pissing me off for years now, is that almost every time I seem to buy into a story that is in any sort of long form, it has a bad ending, or at least one where many, many, many plot points are not resolved. Now, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below what are some of your least favorite endings in anything. You don't even need to, go ahead and spoil it, but you just tell me, what is it? Maybe a game, a movie, whatever. I'm interested to hear, and be aware that if someone's talking about endings, there probably will be spoilers in the comments section. If you enjoy this, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos to keep me sane, please. Now, again, unscripted, just running through some of my thoughts. A lot of my favorite shows especially have had really poor or not well thought out endings. Things like Supernatural, which I was into for 15 years, randomly dropping the ball on the final episode and feeling rushed and forced in many aspects in its final season. Shows like Dexter, which I would argue I was probably the biggest fan of Dexter of all time watching that show. I was loving every single season of the show, even the ones other people didn't like 6 and 7 and 5, the things after season 4. I loved and adored that show. I could see past its shortcomings. I could push past that and still enjoy it for what it was and like the good parts of the writing that were still there. Even if we look at something animated, something that people who are fans of this channel, people who are in this audience might know that I'm a big fan of, Batman Beyond. There isn't even an ending to that show. And now hold on. I know DC mega fan, you are typing right now. There is an ending. Yes, within Justice League Unlimited, they did write in an ending to the show for Batman Beyond. But it took that much longer, and they needed to do it after the fact because, as Bruce Timm had said in an interview one time, a lot of the times with animated shows at that time, there was no plan for it ending. It just either was continued to be picked up and they would continue making it, or it would just kind of go away. But this happens all the time in movies, games, and TV. And a lot of what we've talked about so far is movies and TV, but it even does happen in things like games due to rushed development. Something like Knights of the Old Republic 2. Amazing game. Phenomenal with the Sith Lords Remastered pack on PC where they add in all the cut content. But due to a push to get it out for Christmas, the ending was almost completely cut from the game. Your party members disappear from the game, and all of a sudden you're just by yourself, and a big, huge portion of the plot was just chopped right out of there due to a rushed production. The list goes on with movies that either didn't complete their trilogies and got dropped, things like the Alien prequels, or movies where they get to a third act or a third chapter or even a second chapter, and they start making complete missteps that the audience doesn't enjoy. Things like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I think that's a good example of this, even if you're a fan, where recently J.J. Abrams admitted they didn't really have a plan going into episodes 7, 8, and 9. They really just had a plan for what they were working on episode by episode, and because of that, there wasn't a really super consistent story structure where you sort of had almost a battle of the minds between creators like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. Now, whether you love those movies or not is beside the point. The point that I'm getting to with all of this is I truly do believe this comes down to planning. I really do believe that's what it is. When you look at an example like Supernatural, we find out that originally one of the plans was when Eric Kripke left the show at the end of season 5, was that could have been the end of the show. But it continued for another decade. And I love that show. I love the other decade of that show as well. But that plan was changed, right? When creators go into projects, when they go into movies, games, and shows, and they don't have a solid outline, a solid plan of here are the characters right now, where do I want them in general to end up by the end? What are some of the things I in general want to happen in the end or by the end of this series? When we don't have that sort of planning going on, it leads to a lack of cohesion. It leads to a lack of I guess I would say 3-act story structure, even whether it be in long form or short form, with any sort of consistency to the quality of it. Endings, those are really, really hard to land. I would say probably some of the most iconic films and film trilogies and series that people talk about, one of the reasons why they are so iconic in film is because they are able to stick the landing at the end, for the most part at least. Return of the Jedi, yes, people have their criticisms of it, but overall it's still beloved. They love the original Star Wars trilogy. Harry Potter, it's able to tell a consistently good story over the course of all of those movies and books, and it lands on its feet at the end. Yes, again, The Cursed Child and other things like that, or the newer Fantastic Beast movies. Do people have some issues? Absolutely, with the consistency. But those original things, even Lord of the Rings, they stick the landing. They have a fantastic ending. They know where they were going, and they get there eventually. I am so tired of buying into things, and they either don't end at all, or their ending is just so bad that you wish you hadn't seen it. It is like the worst feeling to buy into a show for years, or to buy into a game series, or to buy into a book series, or comic books. Comic books are like the worst for this. You know why? Because there are so many writers on all the time that plot lines are just completely dropped in favor of someone else's coming up later. Why should I deal with Joe Mark? Why should I deal with Joe Mark's story from last year when I want to tell my own? And so what happens is storylines go completely left by the wayside. Sometimes they straight up disappear, are dropped, or retconned straight up out of the continuity. And it makes it so frustrating to be on board with these stories, to be interested in what's happening, and especially to be told by rights holders that you should care about their continuity and their canonicity when they could change it at the drop of a hat, or they could drop things that they made you pay real money for years earlier and just say, it didn't happen, or, well, we don't care about that anymore. There is a lot of issues that I have with the way stories are told, especially in Western media, I think, really, where there is not a well thought out ending to a lot of these things, because the big thought process is making more money off of it, keeping it going. I know that this was a rant, I know this was all over the place, but it's something that has really been frustrating me for a long time and makes me so, I guess, cautious to get emotionally invested in any way to stories that are being told modern day, because I just feel like the ball's going to be dropped, they don't know where to take the characters, and I'm going to be sitting after a few years of investment like, what the hell is this? What happened? How'd we get here? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What are some examples you think of things that have phenomenal endings? Maybe there are movie franchises or television shows or comics or whatever that you think are done really, really well with amazing endings that really stick it. I'm interested. Or what are some of your least favorite ones? Maybe there's things where the ending ruins something for you and you just don't want to watch it or play it anymore. I'm interested. Let me know down there in the comments down below. Please be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very much, and check out the secondary channel Degenerate Plays in the description down below, where we play through a wide variety of games and hang out with you. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and as always, stay shui.